Hi, I'm Carolyn Moore, the founder of Modern Widows Club, and I have been asked to answer three questions concerning International Widows Day on June 23rd. The first question is, why do we need an International Widows Day? Well, for me, when I became widowed in 2000, first of all, this didn't exist. And second of all, it was something beyond even my knowledge that other widows might be living in the same circumstances in which I was, needing quite a lot of different resources and quickly. I learned about June 23rd, International Widows Day of Awareness, through the Lumba Foundation from London. I was introduced to Lord Lumba, who founded that organization through friends, and then also got to meet him when I went for the 2015 World Widows Report launch, which was really focused on the Sustainable Development Goal number 5, preventing poverty for women and girls around the world. My eyes were very open to the current kind of critical issue and the struggles that women in widowhood have globally. Personally, I only had my own individual experience, and so it was very fascinating to me to come to realize that truly the 254 million widows caring for 585 million fatherless kids around the world was becoming an enormous socioeconomic issue around the world. It seems that women are very tied to men as far as being able to gain an income and security in the world. Lord Lumba, I was honored to be speaking at an event, or actually attending an event that Lord Lumba shared his story about when he was a young boy in India. And when his father died, he saw his mother being stripped of her bangles and very much of her dignity and her standing in society. And so she kind of was hidden, in their family and in their community. And the most poignant story that he told was when he went to get married, and they were on the podium, and the officiant asked him to have his mother step down, actually off, away from the couple being married and the wedding party, because it was a dishonor and a curse to have a widow stand near them. And he talks about how heartbreaking and also how degrading that was to his mother, because she had been the person who had raised him, taught him how to love, brought him to that moment of life. And he saw the stigmatization, the discarding this formidable woman in his own culture, and he committed to making a change. And so I think that he petitioned the United Nations for about 10 years, and then in 2011 they finally did accept International Day, Widow's Day, on June 23rd, which was the day that his father died and his mother became a widow. So the reason why we really need a day of awareness is because there truly are women in this world who are not only what Richard Branson called those who are misunderstood will be underserved. That is very much what is happening with the world of widowhood. And we see that because there's a complete lack of outreach, services, programs that really are focused on empowering and enabling her to return as a viable and capable citizen of our cities and countries. So I'm really honored to know about this, to have been promoting it since the beginning of its inception, and will continue to as a widow advocate going forward in my life. So that's a great question. The next question is, what are the daily hardships of being a widow? Well, I think what happens in widowhood very much is we go from, in 1 second, seeing ourselves as one thing, which is a married woman, to becoming another thing, which is a grieving widow. And the world sees us that way as well. We don't quite know what to make of ourselves because we've never been a grieving widow before. It's a very disorienting experience that not only do you not understand where you are, but you also don't have a line of sight to where you're headed. That was my experience, and it's the experience I have seen of thousands of widows that I have met. So widowhood, what I now know, is truly an all-front attack on women's health in every way, but no one is really talking about it. These women are experiencing it, and in the early years, they don't quite understand why they've lost their confidence, why it's impossible to have a perspective of life. It is as if they have died along with their spouse, and in many ways they have. That life with them went along with their partner. And so the daily hardships are tremendous, and after being widowed and then growing to just learn from a lot of widows and gaining a lot of feedback and input, we created this little thing called secondary losses. And we realized that the secondary losses, the primary loss is that of your spouse, but the secondary loss in grief is tremendous. You know, some of the losing a spouse is the number one most stressful life event according to the Holmes and Ray social readjustment scale. It is truly like a kick towards losing your optimal health, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, in all of those ways. We created this list because it shows like the primary loss of our spouse is of course the drop that creates the ripple effect, but it's all of these other bubbles that we end up bumping into that make it very easy. It's a slippery slope. Makes it very easy for our ladies to be able to fail and to get stuck and to lose hope. And so finding resilient role models in the world who are widowed is very important, and so is finding a community that understands you and has a lot of compassion for this experience. 70% of married women will become widowed in their lifetime, and that number is actually increasing. And so the more we can share about these hardships, the more important it is for these ladies to find understanding and resources. Things like losing a parenting partner, a sense of security, loss of income, loss of health, identity, loss of dreams for the future, a loss of your best friend, a loss of faith many times, your confidence, your social status, your home. Many of our ladies cannot continue the financial aspect. 49% of widows, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, earn less than $25,000 a year. And if you look at the number of nearly 14 million widows in this country, in America, 34% of them are young. They're not retired. The average age of a widow is 59 years old. Most people don't understand that you're not even into retirement yet. And then the majority of women will live 15 years longer than their spouse. So the hardships are not just in the first year or the second year. They are really the struggles and the hurdles that must be jumped over, and the obstacles that must find solutions are ongoing as a big part of her life moving forward. So, losing, majority of women talk about losing a support system. Most of their friends or their family do not understand the many dynamics of solo parenting or dating again, or managing finances or home management, or understanding really everything your partner knew, the knowledge base that is missing there. You have to find a new tribe to to come in, and you have to learn quickly, and you're doing that while you're grieving, which is incredibly hard. So the other thing is, a lot of our ladies have loss of working memory, and that turns into a loss of jobs. If a woman loses her job, she can't support her family. If she can't support her family, she will lose her car, or she'll lose her home. Many tough decisions, as Rabbi Shmuley encouraged me in the past. Your life's not over, Carolyn. You just have a lot of tough decisions to make. And it makes no sense to me that we would leave these women at their greatest time of need when they have extremely tough decisions to make moving forward. It really helps to find someone who is further along in the journey, who has come back as a mentor, as a leader, or an advocate to kind of companion that journey with them. So reaching back is and kind of delving into altruism is a very important part of helping with the hardships. So the third question is what can those who aren't widowed do to help the widowed community? And I thank you for asking this question, because it is a key component for really finding solutions to widows and the fact that they're underserved. I would say the first thing is probably to have some self-compassion for yourself. You really do have to understand that you don't have the answers, that she doesn't even have the answers. And so it's a powerful moment when you both are standing in self-compassion for the other. It's uncertain times, it's unknown territory. It's neither of you has actually walked down this journey before. So first, kind of focusing on self-compassion for yourself is very important. Preparing. The second is just imagine yourself in her shoes, just for a moment. If you'll be able to just be mindful of that, and just hold that space with her for just a moment, because it is going to be painful for you to be able to think about losing all of these, not only the primary and secondary losses that I just discussed, but it's just hard to comprehend and wrap your mind around. But you're not called, to fully have the experience. You're called to hold the space with her. And in that holding space, there's a lot of healing that occurs, not only for them, but for you as well. The third is, I would mentally prepare yourself for it to not be a short conversation. I share this with people all the time, that this is the long game. We live in an instant gratification society, and so people want, to fix it, and they want to do it quickly, and they want it to be done in a short amount of time, and that's just not the case in this scenario. So it's the long game. It is the long conversations, and so prepare yourself to be a great listener for them. That's truly what they need. Their story needs to be validated, and it will be told over and over. And as it does, more things will be realized, not only by yourself, but also by them. So, fourth would be to find resources for her. One of the hardest things is to have the time to be able to reach out, even if that's what you want. So we have what I call is the to be a golden friend. Someone who goes out and finds those resources for her and brings them to them at the right moment. You know this person better than anyone, because they're your friend or they're your family member. And so if you go ahead of her and do the research and then bring it to her in a very empathetic manner, she will respond to it. And when she is ready, she will access that information. And that time is very personal. What your job is to simply be that kind of centering person who is on the outside, sort of being her champion, being her champion to when the time is right. So I hope that helps. Resources as far as books to read, communities to tap into, like the one I founded, Modern Widows Club, is really about growth and empowerment. We're not about grief. We're really support for women who are what I call going from distress to eustress. We want our ladies to be willing to put themselves into positive stress and out of the negative stress. And that requires a lot of courage. And when our ladies try to do this on their own, believe me, it's so much easier if they have a community around them. And you can be a part of that. Don't ever doubt that you can't be a part of that. The fifth would be to just declare your commitment to never leaving her, and then don't. I had people who would show up at my door with flowers and cards, and I never opened the door or returned the call. And then years later, I was able to reconnect with them, and it was powerful at that time. But I did not have the mental and emotional capacity to be able to deal with the influx that was coming into me, and grieving, raising my children, understanding my loss, and really just acclimating to this very disorienting experience. So just commit to being there in large and small ways. I mean, find someone to mow her grass, deliver books, invite her out for dinner. If she won't come with you, then leave a gift card or mail her one. But constantly, just send love. Just love in ways that she can't deny exists. And then the sixth one would be really just, again, educating yourself about these secondary losses. This is not common knowledge. This comes from widows themselves. This is from feedback from our own community. And then I think another way people who are widowed is they can go into their own places of worship and into their communities and corporations, and they can talk about these experiences and how they can react differently with a lot of empathy, and also how can we serve better. There are many places of worship where a simple thing like adding a box for the widowed. When the choice is only married, single, and divorced, and you're widowed, you kind of feel like you're invisible, and you are completely misunderstood. And so that has been the beginning for many places of worship. Just give them a box. So when you notice something sort of out of whack, just bring it up and see if you can be a little bit of the change. For me, I imagine on a really big picture scale. I wonder what the world would be like if every widow found a mentor if she wanted one. It took me about 10 years to find a mentor, and when I did, everything changed. Literally everything changed. All of the questions, the deep questions, the confusions I had, I was actually able to really connect with another human being, and it was tremendously helpful, soothing, and healing. And I gained a lot of strength and courage from her. The resilience that was built within me stays with me today, and that's truly what we want for widows. I wonder, what happened. What does the world look like when these women gain a community, mentors, and resources faster, more clear, and brighter in the world? What would the world look like if we made that possible? So, thank you for asking these questions, and for Kimberly Wiggins for wanting the answers. God bless you.